Welcome to the news, Matt Miller with you. This is the latest Star Trek production news from Australia's unofficial home of Star Trek and home to all things science, space and science fiction. It's the 45th week of 2021. Let's get the latest Star Trek production news.
This is the news from Trekzone.
Well, don't forget Trekzone membership available via the join button under each video on YouTube or via the trek.zone/support. Plus Trekzone's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and your favourite podcast feed. Find us, like, follow and subscribe. As I said, it is the 45th week of 2021 and it's a week dominated by our lead story this week, and it's something that needs to be said. It has been a week now, but the news is still better on my tongue. As Viacom, CBS's marketing spin machine was in overdrive last Wednesday morning, Australian time, as they dropped a bombshell announcement for international fans. In what can only be surmised, at best, as failed negotiations with worldwide broadcast partner Netflix, and at worst, callous disregard for fans, Paramount Plus broke the news that Star Trek Discovery's fourth season would not be premiering as expected on the global streaming giant at midnight on the 18th of November, US Pacific time, which is the time we were expecting it, the time that all other seasons had been premiering, midnight the day after the US release. Radio silence from Netflix, however, is something I've come to expect over the seasons of promoting Discovery from Trekzone's point of view. While there was a brief glimmer of hope when a new PR team was brought in based in Sydney, which included a very nice lunch and a good conversation about what Trekzone was hoping to achieve, that hope was quickly snuffed when emails went unanswered and press screeners went unreceived into my inbox. As Prodigy launches on Paramount Plus here in Australia, as exclusively confirmed by me a few months back, we start fresh with another PR team, this time in-house at Viacom CBS Australia. And the spider sense I had 4 years ago when then CBS Television bought Network 10 is starting to come true. Star Trek is coming home to Channel 10. This news is so fresh, you wouldn't know I'm reading it off an auto cue, but it is there and it is so emotional for a lot of people. The interaction that I've had online through Trekzone, through the Australian Star Trek groups, has just been incredible. A lot of people not really surprised, still angry, but not really surprised at this treatment. Once again, us Australian fans are considered second-class citizens. That's certainly the way that it feels. Now the rest of the world is joining in with us. But I have to ask, why the delay? Why does Australia, with its minty new Paramount Plus iteration that admittedly had some issues with the A-League coverage on the weekend, why do we have to wait for Europe to catch up? Is there a lingering gardening leave clause in the Netflix contract where they can't do anything anywhere outside of the US until after that period, usually about 3 to 6 months? Which would take them right to the point of launching in Europe. Did Viacom CBS take the nuclear option, maybe forcing the hand of eviscerating Discovery from the planet outside North America for a few months? These are questions we'll never get the answers to, even though I have put them to Viacom CBS in New York. But there is one response to all of it. Australian Star Trek fans will pirate the show and have pirated the show, either by VPN, which by some reports are that it doesn't work, and paid subscriptions, or the more nefarious torrenting methods. They did it with Lower Decks before it arrived at Amazon Prime. They did it with Game of Thrones in record numbers. Australians will do it again, especially those that want to wait, that want to watch it now and not wait. In this day and age of internet society, it is intolerable and next to impossible to wait for a television show because of a seeming flight of fancy by a corporation. It's contemptuous, and with just 3 days to go, it is pathetic. It is pathetic still. In seeking a comment from Viacom CBS Australia, we were referred to the official announcement on the official website, with a note replying to our direct question of what about the precedent set by Prodigy. The response was, this comes into play in 2022. This did all play out just a week after the cast were in London to promote the season 4 premiere. Now, they're sending out apologies to legions of fans. Anthony Rapp, Blue Del Barrio, Emily Coots, just to name a few, have tweeted their disappointment in the executive decision to pull Discovery from Netflix just days before its highly anticipated 4th season premiere. One can even only help to wonder about the feeling of being sent on a promotional tour for your hard work only to see it yanked out from under millions of fans. The news has been met with heavy, albeit futile, resistance from fans all over the world, with online petitions being formed to return Discovery to Netflix and Paramount, even trending on Twitter in Germany on Thursday. We must also remember the regions where there are no plans to launch Paramount Plus. Greece, Turkey, Israel, Japan, Korea, just to name a few, have all now lost legitimate access to Star Trek Discovery, and it's for the rest of us across Europe, Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand, a country without Paramount Plus. We'll have to avoid the official accounts lest we be spoiled ahead of our 2022 premiere, because the official account doesn't care. They're not using the spoiler hashtags that some of the big Trek fan sites are using, and I think that is further contemptuous and something that is very easy to implement from a public-facing perspective. One question that still burns in my mind, however, as an Australian fan site, is why are we being penalised for the delay to launch in Europe? A question I don't expect an answer to. And like I said, I have put it to Viacom CBS in New York. They have not replied. It's been 5 days. All right, well, on to the other news making headlines this week, and a very deserving accolade, a very deserving nod for these two individuals that the Art Directors Guild have announced earlier this week that they're bestowing Lifetime Achievement Awards for both Mike and Denise Okuda. This is a story that would lead the news on any other week. Unfortunately, it's this week. Mike and Denise are two significant Trek alum who are well deserving of the accolade. Mike Okuda began his career as a scenic artist in 1986 on Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, before working on almost every Star Trek film and television production from that time until 2005. Nominated for an Emmy 4 times in that tenure, he returned to the world of Trek to work on the remastering of the original series in 2006, and again the remastering of The Next Generation in 2012. Denise Okuda's first connection to Star Trek was as an uncredited extra in 79's motion picture when she was still Denise Tathwell. The pair married in 93, and Denise's Trek career would soon take on a similar path as Mike's. In addition to their work on Star Trek productions, the Okudas have co-authored a number of Trek reference books, including the Star Trek Encyclopedia, Star Trek Chronology, and Star Trek The Next Generation Technical Manual. They are my number one get for this show. I would love to have them on Trekzone and have a Trekzone conversation with them. Mike, Denise, if you are listening, please reach out. It would be absolutely fantastic to meet you guys and hear your stories. Well, with the exception of a brief clip released on Star Trek Day 2021, details about the 4K Ultra HD upgrade of the Director's Edition of Star Trek The Motion Picture have been non-existent. However, in the past week, producer David Feen via StarTrek.com posted several photos and a short video as the team, joined by legendary audio engineer Bruce Botnick and Atmos mixer Michael Babcock, worked on the film's brand new Dolby Atmos mix. Some of the images seem to indicate that this version of the film may differ somewhat from the previous one. We'll have to wait and see what this all means in the months ahead. Well, Trekzone membership costs less than a cup of coffee a month. It's available via the join button below on YouTube. For our podcast listeners, jump onto the trek.zone/support. And of course, supporting me grow this channel. Get you first play access and behind the scenes goss. New member categories coming up in 2022. More details on that in 5 weeks' time. Do it today, and have my eternal gratitude. I am Matt Miller for Trekzone. I'll catch you in the comments.